So we've got a cracking video for you. Head-to-head battle, TSR3 from Titleist, my current gamer, up against the brand new, newly launched GT3. Same makeup, same shaft. Let's see which one performs the best. Is TSR going to stay in the bag, or is GT3 going to make it? We're going to find out in this video. So arguably the TSR lineup from Titleist has been probably one of the best drivers on the market for the last 2 years. I absolutely love mine. I just love everything about it. The looks, the feel are really important to me as a golfer, and they hit the spot perfectly for me in the TSR3. So I think this is going to be a really tough one to replace. We're going to start off with mine. So just give you an idea of makeup here, 9 degrees, set to A1. So play this at 9 degree. I'm going to keep that weight in the back of the TSR3 in a very neutral sort of position. Fujikura Ventus Velocore Plus, so it's a new Ventus here in a 6X, cut at 45 inch, which is ½ inch shorter than standard. Obviously going to use exactly the same shaft for both of these heads. Let's start off with my TSR3. That's a nice solid hit. Maybe a touch low in the face with the TSR3. So as I say, really like this driver, love the looks, love the sound of it, the feel off the club face. The numbers are generally pretty good. So it'd be interesting to see if GT's any better. It must be to get this out of my hands. It's got to be better. So I'm going to hit 3 shots with each driver. I'm going to mix it up a little bit, so I just don't want to get in a run of a pattern with a particular driver. Give it a true test. So for me personally, when I'm looking at a driver, the big things I want to sort of see is how the club sort of sits behind the golf ball. Very, very important to me. Just the shape of the head, how the face sits. I don't like anything sort of toed in or anything like that. Then obviously feel and sound, and obviously as equally important then is the sort of numbers as well. But then I'm sort of looking at my misses, you know, and dispersion for me off the tee is super important, as it is with all of us as golfers in a way. Yes, we're trying to maximise distance, and yes, that few extra yards is always nice. Got to make sure we keep that ball in play. So that's definitely something that I want to be looking at. That's a cracker. Beautiful golf shot there. Okay, so let's switch over into GT3 head. We'll talk a little bit about the differences of the tech between these two drivers. We'll get some shots hit with that. Okay, so just before we start hitting some with the GT, let's just look at the comparison in the looks of the golf club in comparison to that TSR. So side by side down at the golf ball is very, very similar in the shape. I would probably say, if anything, I'd be interested to sort of see there, is the GT3 a slightly longer from front to back? I don't know whether I'm just looking into that a little bit too much. Maybe a fraction, but it's not a lot. Very, very similar on the shape. And that's probably the big thing when I first saw GT. I thought, well, that's just a TSR look. And I'm pleased in a way that Titleist haven't gone anywhere too different from that. I mean, we don't really think Titleist would do as a brand. You know, they're very traditional on the shaping of the drivers, and you know, obviously they've got a lot of fan base because of that, and I'm a big fan of it. So great to see the looks are the same and nothing too much wacky has changed. Probably the big difference, if anything, between the two is then the scoring lines on the club face. So these white grooves, or whether not grooves, but that white etching is much more visible in that address position. Definitely frames the ball a little bit more than what we see in the TSR. So that's a good thing for me, keeping the looks the same. As I say, I really like the TSR, so keeping that the same. Hopefully the feel's going to be the same. So same setup, 9 degree, same shaft. Oh, right, that wasn't a great strike. That was a bit toe. A little bit high, a little bit toe. Felt that. But it's not done so bad. There's a sort of low spin, really pulled off the spin because more of a strike in a way, but it was very, very sort of straight and hasn't had a lot of drop off on that distance there from that particular, what I felt was a bit of a poor strike. Now, visually different on the sole of the golf club. Now, we've still got that movable weight. We've got those 5 settings, so neutral, toe 1, toe 2, heel 1, heel 2. So really helping to maybe locate strike location and putting that mass behind that area. But obviously what's very different now is that weight is now at the forward in the head, where we see TSR3 was at the back of the golf club. So clearly CG's got to be moving a little bit more forward, and Titleist is saying this is a low spin sort of driver. So maybe the spin characteristics might just sort of change a little bit in comparison between the two clubs. Again, that's a good strike, good pace and flight on that. Tiny bit up that left-hand side, not too bad. Keeping it in play. Yeah, club head speed just popped up a little bit there, which is interesting because what we see with the tech is what Titleist is saying is if some aerodynamic work has been done in this driver against the TSR. So make it a little bit quicker through the air, being more sleek on that aerodynamics. Let's see the back edge of the driver just a little bit more chamfered off there. If we just compare the two side by side, there's definitely a little bit more of a streamlined look to the GT in comparison to TSR. So we'll keep a little eye on that club head speed. If we get a little gain on there, which we should do if the aerodynamics is working. Ooh, it's a little bit off the bottom. It's going to work. Accuracy wise, very good. A little bit low, a little bit heel, a little bit that cutty one. But the ball speed's not bad. That's a good strike. That felt fantastic, and that's the good thing I'm liking here straight away is the looks very similar to what I've got. The feel, the sound is very, very similar. I mean, I don't think I could even split the two there. So that's a really good thing for me because I say I really like the TSR. I don't want it to feel any different, to be honest. If we can get some little gains of ball speed, maybe a little bit of club head speed, some dispersion, that's what I'm sort of looking at. Right, so back into the TSR3 for another batch of 3 shots. And that is absolutely arrowed for that last one in the batch shots with TSR3. So we're going to hit another 3 GT3 and then another 3 TSR and then go back final 3 with GT. Okay, it's a nice one just to finish off that little batch with the GT3. Okay, final set of 3 with TSR3. It's a little bit leaky up the right, so I've had a couple of pretty decent strikes to be honest, but a little bit up that right hand side. We're just seeing that dispersion. There we go. We've got 2 shots up the right, and they're good strikes, just a bit pushy, a little bit of cut on them, but the numbers are pretty decent. So final set of 3 shots with the GT3, and then we'll go and check some numbers out. Just a little bit up that left hand side, struck it pretty good. Okay, so out of breath now. So there's 9 shots hit with each of those models. Let's go and check some numbers out. Before I do that, maybe just sort of my instincts before I look at all the numbers and averages. I felt like the GT3 was much more consistent. The dispersion obviously shows me that straight away in there, but I didn't feel I struck it as good or as consistent as maybe my TSR3. So that's where I think it'll be interesting to look at these numbers. So let's look at the strike patterns, because that's obviously is very, very important in terms of when we're looking at ball speed and, you know, spin consistency in a way. So TSR3, this is my driver. It did feel like I hit that a much more centered, you know, I'm just comfortable with that driver. Even though the looks are the same, the shaft exactly the same, those 2 heads, I just know it's my driver. I feel really comfortable with that. So strike pattern, very, very central. Moving into the GT3, you can see, yeah, I mean, it's still pretty good, but there's just a little bit more out there, maybe a couple up into that higher toe, out in the toe a fraction. So not quite as good, and I definitely did feel that. Okay, interesting numbers here to start with. So the aerodynamics we're talking about in GT3, we did definitely seen a little gain in club head speed there. I've done them in batches of 3, so we can see a little gain of club head speed, so maybe that aerodynamics is doing its job. But as I mentioned, didn't quite strike that as consistently, so I've not returned that in a ball speed with there, so just short of 161. You can see I'm at 162 as average with TSR3. Again, your strike is generally going to overrule things a little bit more. So because of that relationship, you can see my smash is down at 1.44, 1.48 with TSR3. Very, very good and very consistent. Again, I did strike that better. Your misses, I can see there now, 142, smash 141. They were my miss strikes, clearly dropping on that smash number. The others were a little bit down. So maybe just not quite as good a return from what I'm gaining in that club head speed. Spin number definitely a little bit lower. Again, maybe a little bit higher, a little bit toey on the strike. Generally pulls a little bit of spin off, but also I think with that weight forward or that weight track more forward, I'm guessing that's going to be a little bit more of a low spin profile against TSR3. Sort of seeing that in the numbers. So all that basically equates to a carry distance at 271, 271. But again, when we look at dispersion numbers, all right, maybe take those 2 out, it's going to be the same, but you know, they were all of them there, really quite consistent, which I did like, and they weren't as good as strikes as my TSR3. So an interesting dispersion difference. Right, so decision, does GT make it into my bag? I knew this was going to be a hard call because you know, TSR3 is, as I said before, very much enjoy it. I do like GT3, like the look of it, sound of it, very similar. I really like that dispersion, even though I didn't feel as flushed as the TSR3. You know, obviously that's a little bit of me as well. I can move that weight around, maybe to help with that a little bit, but I did like that dispersion ring. So I feel like GT3 is probably just going to edge it over there, but I'm not going to get rid of my TSR3. It's going to sit somewhere safe. You never know, it might come back. Post your comments down below, let me know your thoughts on the new Titleist GT range of woods. Appreciate you watching. If you haven't subscribed, appreciate you just whacking that subscribe button, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.